2018 is shaping up to be an intense year at the Cineplex, with numerous superhero movies, Star Wars, and Harry Potter spin-offs all on the horizon. But for every film worth getting excited about, there's another that we're absolutely dreading. From sequels and reboots that nobody asked for, to biblical B-movies and poorly timed horrors, we're betting that the following films will be the worst of the worst in 2018. Woody Woodpecker. If you're a fan of the classic Woody Woodpecker cartoons, you'll definitely want to give the upcoming live-action hybrid from Universal a wide berth.
Guess who?
This family-friendly adaptation of the screwball tune pits a CGI Woody Woodpecker against a big city lawyer who intends to tear down his woodland home to create space for a new development. Woody decides to take matters into his own hands and violently defends his home against the construction crew, taking snaps on his smartphone as he does. The trailer is truly the stuff of nightmares. The whole thing is clearly meant to be cheap and cheery, but in the end it comes off as just cheap, with the character so poorly rendered in CG that his presence is completely jarring. Bizarrely, the film is already a hit in Brazil, where an early release inexplicably grossed more than $6.5 million. Go figure.
Here's Woody!
Ow, ow.
Samson. The faith-based production company behind the God's Not Dead trilogy are back with an all-new biblical blockbuster this year, bringing the tale of Samson to the big screen. Pure Flix has been making inroads in the Christian market over the past few years, thanks largely to the success of their family-friendly home streaming service, which offers gems like the Jeff Foxworthy-hosted The American Bible Challenge. Chief Executive Greg Gudorf told the New York Times, "We've been blessed with really strong growth. Our God-given dream was to provide content on a consistent basis to be an alternative to what Hollywood was putting out. While the God's Not Dead films didn't require much in the way of visual effects, Samson relies on them heavily, and the lack of funding is highlighted by the substandard CGI. According to the Bible story, the Hebrew strongman fought his way through 1,000 Philistines with an animal bone and beat up a lion with his bare hands, all of which is included in the trailer. Sadly, the effects on show in these pivotal moments seem pretty dated. The whole thing looks like it was put together using deleted scenes from The Mummy Returns.
No!
Add in some Billy Zane and a toy crown, and you've got what looks to be a cinematic failure of biblical proportions.
I never really understood what that meant until right now.
Teen Titans Go! To the movies. Cartoon Network's Teen Titans Go! Has divided DC fans since it started airing in 2013. Many viewers are of the opinion that the show is an insult to both the original Teen Titans animated series and the much-loved comics of the same name. Some have even petitioned the network to cancel Teen Titans Go!, citing the bad messages it sends to young viewers and the fact that it more or less ignores the source material.
We blew it! All that goofing around and being silly ruined this mission!
Co-producer Michael Jelinek told Comics Alliance that he's well aware of the internet hate. Even though it's never slowed him down, he and his team have managed to thrash out over 200 episodes in just 4 years. But the move to the big screen will likely prove to be a step too far. Teen Titans Go! To the movies will follow Robin, Starfire, Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy to Hollywood as they go in search of a director to make them famous with their very own superhero movie. An idea that probably would have worked better as a double episode rather than a full-length feature film. Unfortunately, kids will probably clamor to pay for an hour and a half of the same stuff everybody hates about the show.
How you like that, President Nixon? Ah, back on the standard, baby!
Slender Man. In 2009, a Something Awful user posted a made-up horror story and some doctored photos to the website's forum, unaware of the chain of events he'd set in motion. Before long, the faceless man he'd created, with the ability to turn children against one another, had become a genuinely popular meme and tragically would go on to inspire a real-life crime. Unsurprisingly, people have reacted angrily to the news of a Slender Man movie. Even if it wasn't a totally insensitive move by the studio, Sony still wouldn't be coming out of this well, because the trailer makes the movie look downright awful. From creaking doors and jerking heads to creepy forests and screaming schoolgirls, they break out every worn-out trope a horror fan could think of, and then some. If you want to be scared this year, you're better off looking just about anywhere else. Alita, Battle Angel. Robert Rodriguez changed the way indie filmmakers thought about CGI when he created the stunning visuals in 2005's Sin City from his home studio, faithfully adapting Frank Miller's beloved graphic novels. The director has taken a similar approach to the upcoming Alita Battle Angel, his live-action take on the manga Battle Angel Alita. The cyborg heroine is being played via motion capture by Rosa Salazar, whose eyes have been enlarged to look as though they're straight out of the pages of the comic. Talking about the bizarre concept, Robert Rodriguez said, The early artwork I saw that James Cameron had, before it was even technically possible, had that in her. It was so striking and so arresting, I thought, my god, we have to do that. We have to be the first to bring a true manga and anime character to life.
The eyes are the window to the soul. You've got some big windows to see a lot of the soul that goes on within that character, because the character has such great heart and great soul.
While the filmmaker's intentions might have been good, fans of the source material haven't been as positive about the design decisions. Considering the sordid history of live-action manga adaptations, we're not holding on to a lot of hope for this one. Peter Rabbit. While it's now considered a classic of children's literature, British author Beatrix Potter actually had trouble getting the tale of Peter Rabbit published when she wrote and illustrated it in the late 1800s. In 1901, she decided to self-publish 250 copies of the book with her own money. It went on to become a hit via word of mouth, prompting one of the publishing houses who previously turned her down to come crawling back. In the years that followed, Potter turned down plenty of offers to turn Peter Rabbit into a feature film, even rejecting offers for an adaptation by Walt Disney himself. We'll never know what Disney's Peter Rabbit might have looked like, but it's probably safe to say that Potter would have hated the brash party animal that Sony has turned him into. Potter's relative, Nadine Hanwell, told the Scottish Mail on Sunday, Beatrix Potter would be turning in her grave. I hope parents don't take their children to see the film. She would absolutely loathe this. Reviews don't get much worse than that, but it looks like there's a good reason for the hate. Peter was always mischievous in the books, but in this interpretation, he's less cuddly critter and more arrogant frat boy.
You must be Peter Rabbit! Yeah, that's right!
Judging by the early reaction to the trailer, this one is likely to be another major miss for Sony. Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation. Like the majority of Adam Sandler films, 2012's Hotel Transylvania went down pretty badly with the critics, only managing to score 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. Predictably, reviews for the 2014 sequel didn't fare much better. After that flop, most people probably expected the franchise to crawl back into its coffin.
Why don't you just put a stake through my heart?
So why are we staring down the barrel of a third Hotel Transylvania movie? Basically because they make a ton of money. The first two films were made for around $85 million each, yet they pulled in staggering amounts at the worldwide box office, $358 million and $473 million respectively. A series of leaked emails in 2014 confirmed that Sandler and the studio had fallen out over Hotel Transylvania 2, with the star apparently wresting control of the animated project away from director Gendry Tartakovsky. Despite that giant mess, Sandler, Tartakovsky, and Sony all came back together to make a third Hotel Transylvania, putting financial gain over professional pride. We can probably expect Summer Vacation to be the worst Hotel Transylvania yet. 50 Shades Freed. Mocking the terrible dialogue littered throughout the 50 Shades of Grey novels was the internet's favorite game for a while, and it's hard to argue against the haters when you actually sit down to read the books.
He grabs me suddenly and yanks me up against him. One hand at my back holding me to him, and the other hand... Oh my God, I'm not gonna say that.
To be fair to author E.L. James, she spotted a gap in the literary market and plugged it, so to speak, cleverly tweaking what began as a bunch of Twilight fan fiction for the mom audience. A big screen adaptation seemed inevitable after the success of the raunchy trilogy, and there were more than a few fans who hoped that the book's kinks would be ironed out in the process. It hasn't happened.
Seriously?
Yes.
Reviews for the first movie bashed almost everything about it, and the second picture went down just as poorly. Judging by the trailer for the final installment, 50 Shades Freed, filmmakers haven't changed their approach one bit. Yeah, it'll probably rake in just as much money as the first two installments in the trilogy, but that doesn't mean it'll be a pleasure to watch. V2 – Journey to China. This adventure fantasy sequel pits action stars Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger against one another, in Russian, and Arnie is Captain Hook.
2, 3, все на месте. Конечно.
Confused? Well, to properly explain this wacky-looking Russo-Chinese production, we need to first mention that the previous movie, The Forbidden Empire, was the highest-grossing Russian film of 2014. The swashbuckling fantasy epic is based on a classic horror novella first published in 1853, and the movie was even on track for a US release until a lawsuit between co-producers derailed it. That may have been for the better, considering that the few American critics that actually got to see it weren't exactly blown away. But considering how much money the first film made, a sequel was inevitable. Only instead of concentrating on the positive parts of the original, they seem to have embraced the crazy. Chan and Schwarzenegger take top billing over the film's original star, Jason Fleming. They both appear more than him in the trailers, even though they're only supporting characters in the continuation of his tale. The first film was guilty of favoring style over substance, and that doesn't seem to have changed in the sequel. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.